goes down.
Here we go.
But everything sort of seems to be okay. But I thought we'd start by showing this clip from CNN yesterday. This went viral on the Twitter machine there, and I think it's sort of a perfect
we got more viewers than him
of what we should expect for the next 4 years from our beloved journalists at CNN.
Journalists.
Those lights that are just shooting out from the Lincoln Memorial along the reflecting pool. It's like almost extensions of Joe Biden's arms embracing America. It was a moment where the new president came to town.
I think I'm going to agree with
the country in this
Dave
moment
Rubin
of
on this
remembrance,
one.
outstretching his arms.
Extensions of Joe Biden's arms, hugging, embracing, fondling America. Can you feel the love? Oh, God. I mean, I just thought that clip, there's a gajillion of those. Trust me, I could show you a gajillion. That's a lot. That's a big number of those type of clips of just these slobbering people. And it's like, all right, that's the way we're going to do this. The lights across the pond. He's hugging us and lifting our butts and patting us on the head, sniffing our hair. It's just so sad and pathetic, but we are going to have to get used to that. And as I said, that's sort of why they will also need Trump. They will need Trump because no matter what happens in the next couple of years, when we go back to wars or whatever it might be, they're going to have to say, well, it was because Trump did this, that, or the other thing. So they need him to be the perpetual bad guy in the script, right? He doesn't just get written out of the script now. He's now just the perpetual bad guy that they can always aim the fire at. And we're just going to see a lot. We're going to see so much more of this. It's nauseating. Anyway, Biden was inaugurated. We've got a couple images from what's going on. There was the Capitol lawn. Not a lot of people there. I get it. Social distancing, the pandemic, although nobody's talking about the pandemic anymore. Although, my governor
people are talking about it every day. What the fuck are you talking about?
Tweeted out that today he feels patriotic, which is sort of interesting thing for him to say. So for the last 4 years, I guess because he didn't like the president, he wasn't patriotic when he was eating those fancy meals at French Laundry, but he's patriotic today. Still, though, keeping us in lockdown. It's 75 and sunny outside. I can't have a cup of coffee with a friend outside, or I'll be dragged away.
Yeah, you absolutely can. You just can't do any dining.
The inauguration per se. But yeah, so we've got some photos here. That's the God, it's depressing. What else do we got? I think we've got Joe being sworn in. Oh, there's Lady Gaga. Goo for Gaga. Gaga, I mean, the funny thing to me about Gaga, putting aside, lady, he's up on the fillers, is that she sort of was this like born this way monster, different. Her whole thing was about you being you, be different. And all she really wanted to do at the end was just like suck up to power, like just be one of the things in the machine. Anyway, I don't particularly care about the Gaga, but she sang over there, very nice. She's just one of us. There's Joe Biden being sworn in, and that went off without a hitch, so that's good. What else do we got here? I think we've got some others. Yeah, there's Joe. Do we have anything with Kamala? Do we have Kamala? We don't have a Kamala. Kamala was smiling a lot. Yeah, she, and then of course.
Not that he gives a fuck. I think it's Kamala, by the way. I think Kamala is the pronunciation there.
Everybody stood. Nobody got on their knees. Nobody got in trouble. We could be proud about America again. It was a shameful place yesterday and for the 4 years before, but totally good now. And it's a very...
What the fuck is he talking about? Dude, conservatives have the biggest fucking victim complex in the universe, dude. They bitch about fucking everything. And all these leftists, all of a sudden, they're totally okay with the White House. I mean, for the past 4 years, they haven't liked the White House. They've said it's an evil place, but now they're suddenly okay with it. That's so crazy. What the fuck are you talking about? They didn't like the presidential administration. Now there's a new one. Their minds changed. A different administration. What do you mean? You're so fucking stupid, dude. Here's another person who I'll never be able to debate because they learned a long time ago that they should be kept as far as fucking way as possible from any live engagement with a person who disagrees with them. That's why the Rubin report was such an embarrassing fucking circle jerk. Remember when Marianne Williamson went on the Rubin report and made him look like a fucking idiot because she just pointed out some obvious facts, like lightly? Yeah. Oh yeah, his debate with David Pakman was a fucking stomp. Like, it's insane.
exciting time. Already what we're seeing, obviously, is Biden is reversing a lot of Trump's executive actions. He's doing a bunch of his executive actions. First day in office. They always do a lot of stuff first day in office. You know, on the executive action front, this is exactly what I've always said. You can literally find videos of me 5 years ago when I was a progressive saying the same thing, that the true danger of executive actions is the more that we let the executive branch, the president, who's just supposed to sort of set the table and sign laws into existence, not write laws. The more that we give that branch the power to write laws, well, then what we're going to be in is in this perpetual state of 4 years of this, 4 years of the reverse, 4 years of...
Damn, then it sure is a shame that Donald Trump continued to support Mitch McConnell for fucking Senate Majority Leader, who made it literally impossible for any legislation to make its way through Congress, and therefore relied entirely on executive orders, up to the point where he was using them illegally, and several of his executive orders ended up getting shut down by the Supreme Court.
Of this, 4 years of the reverse. And we'll just do that back and forth. So Trump did a lot via executive action. I think a little less than Obama, but somebody can fact check me on that. Can we check that? Executive actions of the last like 4 or 5 presidents. Let's just see. But the idea that presidents do so much by executive action is very dangerous. And by the way, at some level, you can't blame them because Congress is so corroded and stiff and calcified.
Which part of Congress? Which part of Congress do bills keep dying at? The House has passed plenty of bills in the past 4 years.
And nothing good really can come of it. And these people are not really working for us. They're just working so that they can become lobbyists later and everything else. All right, we're going to get some numbers.
Isn't it interesting how Donald Trump literally just repealed an executive action he put into law, saying that people who work for in the presidential cabinet can't go on and become lobbyists for 5 years afterwards. He just repealed that so that all the people who worked with him can go and become lobbyists. He just did that. He did that.
On the executive actions in a sec. But in any event, what you don't want is the guy that's in charge to just do what he wants through the stroke of a pen so it can be reversed by the next guy. Like that's not a good way to govern, and it's a deeply dangerous way to govern, actually. Okay, so I got some numbers here. So Bill Clinton did 364 executive actions. George W. Bush did 291, so a little bit less. Obama did 276, a little bit less, and Trump actually did the least, 218. Now, I suspect it'll be interesting to see what Biden...
Except... Bill Clinton was a 2-term president. George W. Bush was a 2-term president. Barack Obama was a 2-term president. Donald Trump was a 1-term president. So per year, he actually signed more executive orders than any president since, let me go back, Gerald Ford.
Biden will be able to do because, you know, he's got more power now because of what's going on in the Congress and Senate. We'll see if he's able to just push more stuff through legislatively, or they just won't care and they'll just be like, all right, just do it with the stroke of a pen. And one of the things that I am worried about is for those of us that actually believe our founding documents are good.
I don't know how people listen to this guy. He is so fucking stupid, dude. Oh my God. Dave Rubin is extraordinary to me. How there are like appeals elsewhere, but I genuinely don't know what kind of person Dave Rubin appeals to. An infant could listen to a Dave Rubin segment and begin to pick apart the logical fallacies or like the blatant misinformation. I don't know who this is meant to appeal to. Is it Gerald, not Gerald? Whatever, I don't care. Gerald sounds cooler, and it sounds like Geralt of Rivia, which is a cool dude, okay?
And that the Constitution is good and the Bill of Rights and the separation of powers. It's like, do these things, and this is something that Michael Malice said to me a couple weeks ago when we did that panel show. It's like, these things exist, right? Like they exist and a certain amount of people believe in them. But if the people that are in charge or the powers that be don't believe in them, then what use are they really beyond the paper that they're written on? Like what they have to be living, meaning we're exercising.
All right, I have good news, guys. Dave Rubin will never debate me, so we have to crush him in the free marketplace of ideas, okay? So, here. We're introducing the Google Trends scroll of the past 5 years, okay? It's blue as Dave Rubin, red as me. We're catching up. We're catching up. Then we'll have our own talk show, and I'll get to say dumb shit. That's the goal. Where's the Vosh report at?
The words that are written on the paper, not living in that we can just change them as we see fit. So
That's it. I feel like my numbers are distorted because I feel like half of my fucking Google search activity has to be from people who hate me, right? Maybe.
it's going to be a little dangerous going forward. We'll see how much they do on that front. But as I said, Joe Biden is president. I don't want an insurrection. I don't want violence. I will keep telling you what I think. Although, to get to the third story of the day, it might be a little more difficult to tell you guys what I think and what any sort of contrarian opinion is, because you can feel right now a major move. Obviously, big tech's banning a whole bunch of people. I just saw before I got on here that there seems to be another Twitter purge of some fairly big accounts today. That's obviously not surprising.
I am calling for a ban on the term big tech, because every time somebody says big tech, I can hear the echo signs around it, all right? Just say Twitter, okay? Say Twitter, say Facebook. All of these different online companies have different terms of service. They have different policies and different histories with censorship and with deplatforming and with banning, okay? If you know this issue well enough to bitch about it, then you should know it well enough to be able to differentiate the different companies, okay? Stop relying. Anytime you rely on like a vague aggregate term like big tech, you're essentially relying on your audience's ignorance to do the work for you, okay? I'm calling for a moratorium on this term, whether you're on the right or the left.
At all, and everyone's just going to complain about it and not do anything about it. And our congressmen, they can have some meetings every now and again, and they can get on C-SPAN for, you Jack, you're a bad man there. And it's like, okay, well, you didn't do anything about it, so whatever, it is what it is. But you can really feel a narrative being written right now, being scripted right in front of our eyes, that everyone conservative, it's not just, like they've tried to turn the Trump people, they went from Nazis to now they're insurrectionists and terrorists and no-fly lists, but now they're going to have to keep...
Wait, what did that sentence just mean? They went from Nazis to terrorists to insurrectionists to no-fly lists. What does that sentence mean? Can somebody explain to me? Is he talking about, like, which groups were referred to by which terms? Is he saying everyone who was once called a Nazi is now called a member of the no-fly list? Is he saying that everyone who was called a Nazi is now called an insurrectionist? What is he talking about? What if there are just people on the right who are Nazis, and people on the right who are insurrectionists, and people on the right who are terrorists? And sometimes these groups overlap.
Keep widening that to conservatives, right? Conservatives, or basically anyone not woke, which is why for years
not woke.
I've been saying that it's...
So people are getting banned off Twitter for being not woke. Are there any examples of that? Is that a thing that I can get an example of? Well, this person was banned for not believing in gender ideology, and then you look into it for like 2 seconds, and it turns out they were leading a harassment campaign against some 14-year-old trans girl or something. It always turns out to be like that, by the way. Like, every single time. Like, this person got banned just for speaking their opinion, and you look into it, and they were like, it was either organizing a harassment campaign, or speaking a bunch of slurs, or openly calling for violence. Like, every time. Now, technically, and I will admit, leading a harassment campaign against a 14-year-old trans girl isn't woke. That's true. You got that one correct. But you're not being banned for not being woke. You're being banned because harassing people is against the terms of service.
All of us versus the wokesters. That's all it is. And I don't even think there's that many of them. They've usurped a tremendous amount of institutional power.
There aren't even that many of them. However, they control every institution in the United States, and Western civilization is crumbling. Hello, fascism alert. Jesus Christ. The enemy has to be at once overwhelmingly strong, but also pithy and weak. Jesus fucking Christ almighty.
It's actually quite incredible and should be studied one day, and you have to sort of admire its elegance in its evil.
In its evil.
But you will
it's
see
evil.
A big push.
By the way, nothing has been listed so far. Not a single thing has been explained. Not a single ban, not a single incident of injustice. For all of this man's impotent rage, he cannot conjure a single description of a bad thing that has happened. Very interesting.
To cancel anyone that is not woke. And here's a video from CNN. This is former Facebook insider Alex Stamos talking about what should happen to conservative media.
Oh shit, are you ready for some 1984, boys? All right, everyone go up to your calendar and tear the month off, and it's going to be 1984. Vosh, you think he could actually explain any of this? Dave Rubin is a mystery to me because I know he's a grifter. Nobody who does that I was left-leaning and then suddenly became right-leaning thing isn't a grifter. In all likelihood, Dave Rubin was a conservative to begin with, and he was able to grift his way through TYT for a while, which says a lot about TYT and their skepticism of the people who work there. There are a lot of people who have come out of TYT who have turned into giant fucking idiots, so I don't know. So that's a grift element. But I also just think he's really stupid. I also just think he's incredibly, just like traditionally stupid, like low IQ. I mean, like his cognitive abilities are like just not that great, you know? So it really could be anything. You know? All right, I want to see this 1984.
We have to turn down the capability of these conservative influencers to reach these huge audiences. There are people on YouTube, for example, that have a larger audience than daytime CNN, and they are extremely radical and pushing extremely radical views. And so it's up to the Facebooks and YouTubes in particular to think about whether or not they want to be effectively cable networks for disinformation. And then we're going to have to figure out the OANN and Newsmax problem. You know, that these companies have freedom of speech, but I'm not sure we need Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and such to be bringing them into tens of millions of homes. This is, you know, allowing people to seek out information if they really want to, but not pushing it into their faces, I think is where we're going to have to go here.
Yeah, none of this is controversial. Nobody complained when Twitter and YouTube banned ISIS recruitment videos. Did anyone complain about that? No? No, of course not. Because ISIS is Nazism for Muslims. But now that we're targeting Nazism, which is Nazism for, I guess, non-Muslims, I guess. Yeah. OAN isn't ISIS? There are precursors ideologically there. Generally speaking, you get these far-right groups like ISIS that are born out of like massive levels of conservative disinformation. Now, you have Newsmax and OAN, and they don't like push Nazism or anything, but there are channels on YouTube that legitimately do push Nazism and legitimately do try to coordinate and organize people to commit violence like collectively. Like these lines are not difficult to put apart. Yeah. Lamar, shut the fuck up, Vosh. The answer to that is no alienism. Okay. So, thought experiment. Okay. ISIS. Not great. Not good. What do you think precedes ISIS? What leads to ISIS? What gets us there? Do you think people are just like chilling one day and then they just see a video saying, yeah, we should like kill like everyone and like tear down statues and like rape women? We should just do a lot of bad shit. We'll do it all for God. People don't just jump into that, okay? There's a lot of stuff that leads into that, you know? You gotta run people into it. Now, in the case of ISIS, the thing that leads them into it most is imperialism. The Middle East is fucked, and it's fucked because of us. We did that. Sorry. We totally did that. We super did that. We just fucked the Middle East up. Just bombed you all to hell. Destabilized your governments. Destroyed your culture. Criminalized you abroad. There are going to be consequences. Doesn't justify or excuse, but that is what happened. Now, over here in the West, in America, our country is stable, at least compared to the Middle East, generally, you know. Our country is stable. For most people's day-to-day lives are very peaceful, you know, especially compared to the Middle East, but, you know, things are running about. So, instead of imperialism and the threat of drone strikes radicalizing people to believe the things that ISIS members tend to believe, you have to convince people that they're on the precipice of that state of affairs. See, what really drives people to Nazism is fear. It's terror. It's sheer fucking terror of what might be down the line. People who live in countries that are afflicted by ISIS don't need to be propagandized into being fearful. Their fear is legitimate. Their countries are in bad shapes. Like, that's on us. ISIS just shapes that fear and gives them a purpose, gives them a sense of collective identity, which allows them to feel as though they're a part of a solution to that fear. But first, you need the fear. And that's the reason why, if you go to any neo-Nazi forum, board, channel, or stream, 90% of the content there will be about doomer shit. It will not be about appreciating the aesthetics or artwork of Western society. It will not be about piety to God. It will not be about homekeeping or parental styles or anything like that. Stuff that normal people typically obsess over because, well, I don't know if normal people obsess over the glory of the West, but like these are things that, these are positive things or they're constructive. No. What they focus on is death and despair and destruction. They focus on the Jews are going to take away everything, the immigrants are going to take away everything, the black people are going to take away everything, the Muslims are going to take away everything, the communists are going to take away everything, every time, all the time, every channel, every board. All the time. That's what they do. That is what these communities do. They instill in the people in those communities a sense of fear, which they use to justify the actions they take. Exactly. Black Pigeon Speaks videos. Every single one of those videos is about civilization being on the verge of collapse. Every one of them. You can go to a Nick Fuentes stream, and that's what those streams are like. So you got your jovial bits, fine, sure. Maybe that's why people like him, because he's a bit of a breath of fresh air. But the majority of things it's mostly about instilling that sense of terror. We just watched a Styx Hexenhammer video. What was that video about? Your government is illegitimate. It's just been taken over by a crazy, deceptive piece of shit Biden. Everything is fucked, and I'm wearing a gas mask. It's all about making people feel the way the people who joined ISIS feel. And OAN and Newsmax are extremely and excessively complicit in instilling in their audience that sense of terror. OAN and Newsmax are disinformation outlets that are almost exclusively dedicated to propagating factual lies with the intent of making your audience fearful and paranoid and distrustful. Because all of these emotional states ferment negative outcomes down the line. Now, does that mean OAN is ISIS? No, it does not. But it does mean that we have already agreed collectively, societally, since ISIS videos are banned from these platforms, that there is a line where we shouldn't allow people to go that far. If we're okay with getting rid of these ISIS recruitment videos, okay, what about videos that aren't recruitment for ISIS, but they're about how Western powers are destroying the Middle East and how only the glory of a new, what's the term? Like the Muslim Pope? Help me out here. What's the, because that's what they want. They want a new new caliphate. Thank you. Yeah. Caliphate, sorry. They want a new caliphate. Caliphate? Help me out here, chat. I'm so sorry. I've read this word. I remember reading it in an Ender's game. Or Ender's Shadow? The good one. Ender's Shadow was better. Caliphate? Caliphate. Thank you. We'll go with caliphate. So what if it's not an ISIS recruitment video? What if it's just a video about how the glory of a caliphate is the only way to repel Western imperialism and how all the countries and everyone you know and love are going to die unless you find a way to organize around that collective goal? Well, that's just ISIS recruitment videos with ISIS taken out. And then obviously one leads to the next, doesn't it? I'm not, what I'm getting at here isn't that OAN or Newsmax or whatever are ISIS, only that we recognize there is a line and that OAN and Newsmax are undeniably a component in the process by which the Western equivalent of ISIS forms. Does that make sense? Does anyone disagree with that? I feel like that's a very defensible take. Okay. Yeah. Now, should we censor these outlets? I don't know. Those are difficult questions. But we have to know these are at least questions worth asking.
Oh, the old, they have freedom of speech, but line. Yes. So you think that maybe this guy, who's a former Facebook guy, you think that maybe Facebook was possibly, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, I don't want to get banned from YouTube, but do you think that maybe they might have manipulated some information over the last couple of years?
All right, I take it back. I think I would actually rather kill myself than listen to Dave Rubin try to describe tech censorship. Okay. I'm sorry. Just okay. I don't know. It's not something I want to do right now. Yeah. Okay. Long story short, Dave Rubin, low IQ. Have I ever done a Dave Rubin segment on my channel? I don't think I have. I should probably upload this just because I've never talked about Dave Rubin before. He's just so dull. He's just so dull. You know, it's just hard.